1981 Malibu. Malibu tag. This one is in for a set of super drop boxes on the back and change the position of the coilovers in the back. We're gonna move them in some. I don't know, let's see, I'm gonna move the shock out some, but I gotta cut the stock brackets off this 9-inch. So anyways, I'll put it up in there and show you guys that. But this one, about 7 years ago, 6 years ago. Let's see, I've been here a year. I've been in the other shop for, well, I in the other shop 5 years? No, 4 years. Yeah, so 4 or 5. So about 5, 6 years ago, I did this car. Front frame notch, rear frame notch, tubular upper and lower, Q81 control arms in the front, the back. This one had one of my old sway bar setups that welded the lower control arm together, which I actually took the bar out of the trunk because they had cut it off. It has a big badass anti-roll on there now that somebody else did. It had a 7.5-inch rear end in it when I first did it. And now it's got a 9-inch trick chassis, 9-inch rear end in it. So I'll put it up in the air and show y'all the business. And then of course, you can already see the front. That's a big ass intercooler, right? Then we go like that. Booyah! Big old ProCharged. Oh yeah, anyway. 24s. 4G autos. I don't know why I had Rucci stuck in my head.
Same as his ghost car.
I don't know, I deal with so many cars and so many sets of rims. That I do believe is a 7-inch lit. No, I might not be a 7. But anyways, clean car. We'll get it up in the air and show y'all. I'll show you the front frame notch, how I did it back then compared to now. And I'll show you some other things that I did. And we'll see some other things that got done. And we'll talk about that. I'll bet that up, I'll be right back. All right. Got it up in the air. Got it up in the air. So, you can see this shock is blown out. I don't know what the spring is turned to now, but height-wise, because of this setup, you can't go any higher with the car. You can only go lower. So, by not being able to go higher here, but this is a 209 shock. This is a 12, 250 spring. So the distance from here to there, this thing's probably down to almost 10 and a half inches. I'll measure that to see. You know what, I got a tape measure right here somewhere. I'm losing my tapes. All right. Let's see where this thing is at. Oh, top of spring. Oh, is that it? 10 and a half. Bottom of spring. So, it's a 12-inch spring. The 12-inch spring should be set at 12 inches. So, that 1.5 inches right there up that spring rate a lot more. But, like I said, I'm pretty sure they did that in order to keep the car at the height. It's 28 inches, 28 3/4 off of this side, off the ground, up to the chrome, or where the wheel opening is, and the other side was 28 1/4. So, a little bit of lean. But I'm gonna cut the back brace and then angle it so that way I can have the whole, when the drop box is on here. So that shock is gonna go out as far as I can go. So we got new shock tabs for the top. The shock I went with is a 207. It's a little bit shorter than the shock, but I'm cutting these off, cutting the back brace. So this is gonna be over just that little bit more. And we got the buckets from Trick Chassis, and he started making them like I make them, but they centered the back. I offset these, you know, on the inside, so this would be the right, and then obviously the other one's being set that way would be the left. We have the new upper shock tabs, which are longer. Need them to be longer. Have the aluminum pieces right here. On the bottom, have the bolts. Have the new shocks. Like I said, 207 shocks. Have an adjustable Viking. Oh yeah. Yeah. Pinion angle on the ground is a little bit positive, so I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit more. His tires are shit. He knows that. I gave him an idea about tires, what to go with next, because he wants to get this thing ready for show and go and have it actually hook. Got a lot of power. I don't know what gear is in it, but it probably got too much gear. I'll have to ask him what's in it. So that's my cross brace that's in there. That's my brace right there that's in there to the upper torque box. I boogered it all up like that. But that's why we needed the longer tabs. And then see, when I was doing, that's like up more. So see, I think it's binding. So by going with the shorter shock, I'll be able to bring that down more. With doing the super drive box, I'll be able to go down more on the box, you know, and still be able to get it to set at the highest ones and keep it at what I measured the car at. So, yeah. You can see that my old sway bar setup that I used to do, that's the bar, it was in the trunk. That looks like a lot shorter. Right? But anyways, boarded up on there real good. I'm gonna check these, make sure they never cracked. I don't think he did much driving with it because it had a 7.5 in it before. But I'll clean these off so they don't look like that. The brakes on this being on the front, because see, I did the car with a 7.5 inch rear end in it. I don't think I did the brakes on this car at all, which obviously this is a 9 inch now, so the backing plate is different. So you can see the caliper's to the front, and I don't understand that. So I think this caliper might even be hidden, so I'm gonna double check all that. So yeah. All right, let me get back to, I'm gonna talk about that here in a minute. About it up. All right, we back. The wheels out the back. Took a little bit to get the wheels off because of the 5/8 studs. See, this is 5/8 out here. This is 11/16. I've never seen this little groove that's on here. Maybe this is a piece that slid over. The back of the wheel, or the wheel hole, is just a little bit bigger than 11/16. So they were tight to go on. I know a couple sets that I've done. I got to drill them out to 3/4, so that way when you slide it on here, they slide right on. But again, I'm not knowing what this piece right here is, unless that's the type of stud that this one is made. You can see it's like a little slid over piece, right? I don't know. But yeah, so what I say 5-6 years ago. So it's a horrible ass frame notch that I did. Horrible. And see, I can tell right there, that's me. That's me. Before I was angling them in and all that shit. So you can see the rim and tire right there. So I'll be able to flex that a little more. This side, you see the back of the rim a couple times. So let's see where it hit. Obviously, same spot. So I'll tap this in some more. That's tire right there. But yeah, I mean, or maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't do this very much. People are probably like, yeah, right, he's just saying that now. Well, I don't know, maybe. No, I did. I did this frame now. But yeah, let's talk about this bracing. Yeah, I did not do that bracing. And like he said, he was in a hurry to go to Show and Go in 21. And wanted the frame tied together. So we are actually working on, I'm not gonna do it now, but he's got an appointment with this thing. I do believe it's R&D. They already had it once and did a whole bunch of tuning to it. There's some other things I guess they're gonna do. But I found, well, my son found, you see the alternator belt, it's tearing up, right? Well, these trans lines were up against it, so I pulled these down. The trans lines also rubbed the ground wire right there down to the, so the trans lines were up there vibrating on that, rubbing, and then they were pressed against the belt. Pressed against the belt right there. And then you can see it's sitting on an angle. So I think is what it was doing, was tearing the back of the belt up. But the alignment for the alternator sits kind of back and a little crooked, so it tears up alternator belts and they pop off. So it could be both. This, how it was rubbing on there, and the way the alternator is positioned. So, but anyways, that bracing is gonna come off of there. Yeah, that's coming off. So the front fenders, how the tires chewed up here, it's obviously not the front. It's right there. So you guys can see, you're catching this lip. So he's got some wire. Where's these wires at? Oh no, the wires are up there. Duh. So I'll trim this lip off because we can see how far it's going. So I'll trim this lip off and this inside shit out of there. And it won't do this no more. Same thing with this side, as you can see, chewed up. And then we see it, bam, all through there. So I'll trim this. So don't do that no more. Oh, they were never peeled off. I don't know why I kept thinking this car had Ruchis on it. But it's Ruchis. The big brakes, yeah, I didn't do the big brakes. I'm not sure who did the big brakes. But yeah, I put these on. This wheel right here is cambered in way more than that side. So I was already looking at the shaft. Both shafts, this is the old style arm that takes the 4-bolt ball joint. So that shaft is turnable. So this shaft, they're both the same way, but this shaft can be turned so the top of this wheel can come out. So that's something I could do right now. But yeah, we are going to get them drop boxes cut off of there. And then this one is gonna end up somewhere in that area. Probably just a pinch more in. You know, probably like, I don't know. Probably right there somewhere. But I'll cut the back brace to where this will slide up in there. And then the aluminum bracket will go here. And then I'll be able to, I'll get those tabs cut off. So that's another reason the car. I mean, it's not that close. Or no, yeah. See the, hold on a second. Let me put this down. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So, the top of, get this thing back up in here. See the shock right there? Binding on this because these are too high up. So this being higher up because of trying to make the 12-inch shock C209 shock to have all that adjustment. Like I said, when you see people with these brackets down underneath this bracket, they'll have 3 holes. You don't want that. So if you go to a shorter shock setup, which this is a 207 shock, which is a little shorter. But now with the super drops, we have way more adjustment. So that gives us everything that we need to be able to set this whole setup down a little bit. So then the tabs will be back on a downwards angle backwards, and then bring it. We can be a little bit farther back and be on an angle like this, that's fine. But then I'm gonna have all that adjustment here, and then we'll be able to go lower with this arm to give more hook. But as you can see with this frame brace, let me take this thing up a little more now that I got the wheels off. Okay, so the torque box is back here. See what I'm saying? So they tied in to here, but now you have the bolt section here, and all this can bend up. So they should have tied this into here. Oh, my battery's about to die. So this is still able to flex. Same thing with this side, it's still able to flex. So if these under a load, launch or whatever, hooking and this flex a little bit, cause a tire shake in the back. So, I mean, it did support this area from twisting, but this distance from here to there can still twist. So, he can buy the trick chassis, brace kit. I don't know what tube this is. Did they TIG weld or MIG weld? That looks TIG. It might be MIG. So what I'm saying is, this is most likely not chrome moly. This feels thicker. But we'll get all that off of there, and then to do the main runs from the front of the frame to the cross member, the ladder bar cross member, whatever you call it right here. So if I have to rebend this piece, the cross member, to go from here underneath here like I do, 2 3/4, 2 3/4, 12 inches, boom, and then run the rest of the stuff off there, I'll do that, and then should be able to go underneath his expensive trans cross member, because it does sit higher up. That'd be fine if it goes right underneath it to the front. So that's all good in Italian. But then I'll probably put a tube, I'll flex this down and put a tube in the inside of the frame. Rails right there. But yeah. All right, it's not a big badass anti-roll, but it's way better than all the spline and everything. The links are only the 3/8 setup, but I don't know what brand that is. Because it doesn't have a name on it, so I don't know where that one came from. But that's all fine, that can stay. I'm gonna get the shocks off of here, get the lower control arms off. I have the rear end stood with my stands, and I'll get to cutting all that shit off there and out of my way. But yeah. Got a fuel cell in the trunk. It's E85. I gotta look at people's videos and stuff and see when it was at R&D and they were tuning it and all that shit. I think they put this motor in it. It's badass, and that's a big ass ProCharged on there, and it tears it up. So we'll mess around with it. I mean, there ain't much tire left, but we'll mess around with it right here. That's from the Chevelle, but we'll mess around. shots to see how the front reacts. Like I said, I'm gonna put bump stops back in the upper control arm, and I'll use the thicker ones. And then I'll put more rebound in the front to get the front end to come slower. All right, y'all, I'll be back with some work done. Yo. All right, as you can see, wheels are off. Got the rotor and the caliper off this side. I started cutting this crap off. Got a mess on the floor. I really don't know what I'm doing. Like, I really don't know what I'm doing. This will end up somewhere in that vicinity. And the upper tab will be moved over. Well, those will be cut off. And just so you guys know, I got new ones right there. Oh yeah. So, keeping it moving. It's a Friday and it's like 5 something. It was crazy with today, right out there. When I came to pick up the Chevelle, I came to go outside and I forgot my sunglasses. So I went back up the stairs, grabbed my sunglasses, and then I heard that boom, boom, like real loud. And I was like, man, is the tow truck guy trying to load the car up because the keys were in it? But anyways, I come outside and dude's standing in the street over there recording. A fucking deer got hit by a truck and it was laying in a ditch. We called the place to come pick it up. Obviously it was dead, but that was funny for today. But yeah, working on the Malibu tag. I'll get this caliper off, this rotor off. Oh, what I was saying about the studs, duh. It's a fully screw-in stud from the back. Normally, the 5/8 studs we deal with have the center, and you thread it in to the axle on this, this way, and then it takes a lock nut back here to hold it in. So this space is already built onto it. So this is the first time I've seen this style, where you put these over it and then the wheel goes on. Because you want to smooth, you don't want these digging into the rim. When you got a lot of power. All right, I gotta go. Somebody's blowing my phone up. All right, yep, that's what's going on. I'm gonna keep on it. Back that up. Yo, got the other rotor and caliper off. This side, boom, and started cleaning all this up. But that's it for me today. And yeah, Malibu, 81. A real nice car. All right, y'all. More work to be done. Oh, I did smack this a few times. Roll it. Got a little bit here. Got a little bit here. I'll be able to scuff that up, put a little paint on it when I'm done. Yeah. This is a 207 shock. If we line this up, it comes up that little bit shorter. So when that 12-inch spring goes on there, we'll be able to use the whole spring, and it won't be as tight as that. And we want to be able to use as much stroke and still fit all up in there. So it's all gonna work out. Bet that I'll be back. Yo. Both sides fully welded on, set at 90 degrees along with the pinion capped off where I cut it down. Boom, filled it in there. I actually welded the tops on this car. But yeah, not too bad. Not too bad it was. This side, probably can't touch like that because I just got this side done. Oh yeah, it's a little warm. A little warm. So, fill the top of that one in. Yep. Oh, guess what? It's still warm. Put that little plate in there. Boom. All right, that's that part. Now I gotta cut those tabs off. Put the coilover up in here. And then figure out exactly where I'm gonna put it up on top, which I'll hang a little bit, but when I cut those off, I'll clean that up. And I gotta make sure I don't hit this fuel line. And then the return, or which one's fuel, which one's return, blah, blah, blah. Let's see right here. A big one, boom, boom. Filter, pump, main, which, I mean, it doesn't matter. Can't hit them. I'll move them up. And just be careful with cutting those tabs off and grinding those. And, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You can see it's still got some angle to the lower control arm, which it wouldn't matter if it was straight. Measurements after measurements after measurements. Making sure the rear end was centered, making sure the rear end stayed at 90, the pinion straight up and down, the box is straight up and down. So that way when you adjust the control arms, you can adjust them to the same length and be square. So, yeah. Moving along. All right, I'm gonna get these upper tabs cut off and get that put in there. And of course, I'm doing my brace. Gonna go along the bottom. I don't think this one accepts the 2 3/4 bend, how I do it. So I gotta watch the plug here, so I'll be on the back part of the housing to where you can still get the plug. But I'm thinking this is only gonna, because of the 9-inch, it's 2.5 inch of bend. Like I said, with my little bullshit bender over there, that works perfect for all this stuff. Yeah, there we go. All right, y'all. Take our 10, bend it up. Be back with some more work. Malibu. We are now cutting off this frame brace. Shit. And we have the chassis frame brace kit right here that just got chopped off yesterday. And the cross member. Ladder bar cross member. The other one's a trans cross member. And then this trans cross member is gonna come off. Hopefully we can clear the pipes. So then we might leave this, depending on the other cross member. We'll figure it out. So that's the next step on this. I still gotta put my brace across the bottom of this and some other things. Definitely stay tuned. Way more to come. What up, y'all? We got that bracing. Oh, I don't know if you guys are really paying attention to it, but anyways, got all that off. That was a pain in the ass. Saws all blades, time, and now I gotta clean up all this. Now I'll use a cutoff wheel, get as much of that, as much of it off as possible, and then use the grinder. Clean it all up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. 10 spots to clean up. I already started cleaning up that one. Cross member from the chassis kit right there. The bends are not gonna work. I'm gonna try to put it on top, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fit it to curve up. Where the hell am I looking? Up in here, because dry shaft, and if the dry shaft gets close to it. So I'll just make my style, come off here, 2 3/4 bend, and you guys know. And then I'll tie those side rails into that, cut it down, fabricate it, whatever. And then as for the trans cross member, I'm not exactly sure. I think I'm gonna end up leaving this in there because of how everything is set up. So then I'll just be underneath it. So this one will determine the height of the bar that goes from the front to the back. And this one will sit in that one. And I'm gonna try to get up in here and do the bars up in here, but all the hoses and wires and everything. Then we got this wire up here. This is funny. I decided to move out of the way, but yet this was down here. And look at how much heat from the headers. So I'll end up zip tying this to the tube, whatever, when I get done, and get it away from as much of this heat as I possibly can. So that's a relay or breaker or whatever for a fuel pump or something, I don't know. But gotta get it up out of the way. I had to get it up out of the way to cut this, and now I gotta get out, keep it out of the way to grind this, and I gotta be careful not to hit the other shit. So some of this stuff takes a minute to do, and you know. Anyways, the back is still where the back was. I figured I'd get this stuff cleaned up before I do the brace and the other thing that I'm gonna do to the back. The package came in that I wanted, and it is very heavy. So y'all will figure it out. I'm gonna get it all together. There it is. I'm still on it, y'all. Bet it up. Yo. Coil loaders hanging up in there. Got the brace on the bottom. Tied into here. These were the pieces that were left over from how they used to have more of a bend in there. What I cut off of there, I went ahead and used it here to strengthen this up some more. This bar right here, see that plug? There's a plug hole. I put lead inside this to get more weight on the axle itself to drive the tires into the ground. Cleaned up. I still got to put the side rails in, but I got these in. I made my cross member because like I was saying how it was going to be a pain in the ass to get that up in there. But now I'll be able to cut this in half. I am going to be able to take this and I'm going to go from the ladder bar cross member, tie into the upper tray, and tie into the torque box with that. So I'll probably have to cut the mufflers off to get them out of the way and then put them back on. So a few more bars, this and that to go, bam. You're probably wondering what these studs are. These are 9/16 bolts. We got this weight bar. So this weight bar is going to be capped off. That weight bar will be capped off on both sides. And it will be filled with lead too. So I'm hoping to get 80 pounds. This bar itself right now is 9 pounds. So lead is very heavy. And those bags that I have are 25 pounds a piece. So I should be able to get 3 bags in there. Whatever, when I get done, I'll know exactly what this brace bar weighs, which the customer was just here. My buddy was just here and said that he probably ain't gonna take it off. Still be able to have fun on the street, shit like that, and then at the track. So, brand new tires. Couldn't find the other tread pattern of the Lionheart tire. So this is a Lionheart, so it's got a lot of pad all the way through. I don't like the grooves, the big grooves, but we did go to a 295. 295, 25, 24 from the 275, 25. So if you know before, it was stretched down there. Now we got more sidewall, more. This should bite a lot more. The unsprung weight of the axle, all the weight that I'm putting in here, it should help this car actually hook. And you know, it's got a lot of power, so we'll see how that goes. And it is a very fresh motor, so just gonna do a couple little hole shots with it. And I still got that front stuff to do. Like I said, I'm gonna realign it. That upper control arm on the right front needs the shaft twisted around. It's the old style QA1 arm. It's adjustable on top to bring the top of that tire out. But yeah, slowly but surely. And all the other stuff I got going on, but working on the Malibu. Alright, so I'm gonna get this cut, get that up in there, get this capped. Those bags of lead. Lead shot. So it's a whole bunch of little bitty BBs. There's a couple laying on here. Let's see. Little bitty lead BBs. Using this, using the funnel. The other thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill into this back brace, put some holes. He has 2 bags of sand, 70-pound bags of sand in the trunk. We're gonna get that out, and I'll be able to put the sand inside here, which this is a back brace. It doesn't go into the actual housing, just the back brace is put on after the housing is made. I capped off the sides, so I should be able to build that. As much weight on the rear end as possible for unsprung weight to drive the tires into the ground. All the weight that you put up in the trunk is loading the springs so the car can't anti-squat. It can't stretch the spring up and drive the tires in the ground. Keep pushing the tires down. So anyways, if anybody wants to correct me on anything, you know, I'm here to teach and I'm here to learn. So got that up. I'll be back with some more work done. All right, y'all, back on it. So I was able to take that cross member that came with this setup because of the exhaust. I couldn't fit it, but guess what I did with it? Like I said, I cut it and I was able to get it to tie into. It's not the prettiest, never set out the prettiest, but tied it in here, tied it in here, welded as much as I could around the back, around here, got it up here, got it all the way around. Had to keep the compressor right here handy to keep cooling it off, because another reason it's so nasty is this undercoating. Whatever this undercoating is, it peels off. And when it was getting hot, this is how thick it is. Undercoating, no, I'm not with it. This one fitted a little better, but yeah, it was an open spot right there. But I got it almost all the way. Oh, this side I'm gonna have to get up on top. I got a little spot, probably about a ½ inch, probably nothing to worry about, but anyways, all these are all the way around. Got that the best I could. Again, I'm not the best. My shit's not perfect. But I'm gonna get the mufflers back up on there. I'm gonna put some paint on these bars. Well, now let me double check this one. I know I got this one. Yeah, this one I got all the way around. This one I just gotta get, but it's hard to get because the fuel hose. I wanna burn through that. All right, I wanna show you guys that. I get the mufflers back on it. Put some paint on those, put the mufflers back on it, and get back on it. Yo. What we got now Got some bracing. A little paint on there. I still got to do to fix into the notch right there and smooth out some of the welds from 6 years ago. Anyways, I got the tow hooks on there. Got some paint on there. The side bars are in the frame. All welded in, both sides. Got the two little cusses there. Everything's tied together. Put a little paint on it. The weight bar, I have half the bag in there. The other bag hasn't showed up, and it's supposed to be here tomorrow, so I can get that in there and then top it off with some sand and make the other cap for it. Filled this with lead. So I drilled a hole, put a funnel, tapped it, filled it, then welded it up. So this has got lead in it for weight. So that's obviously the guts is there, braces, whatever you want to call it, the toe hooks, and all. Now the paint makes it look whatever. You can see that. That's welded all the way underneath the back side. A nice full weld there, so you're underneath the tube. It clears the weight bar. It's filled in. Yeah. One of the bags, this bag right here, was down in the tire sump in the trunk and it ripped open. So I had to take a vacuum and clean out that the tire sump right here with the vacuum. But yeah, I'm gonna clean up these frame rails a little bit, get these back corners, because like I said, this one you can see the tire was totally rubber, and now that we got the 295, I'm pretty sure I showed that. 295, 25 Lionheart tires. So more tire, a little more sidewall. Should be able to hook a lot better. This should help. Should be able to anti-squat. Should make a world of difference with all that weight on the axle, all that weight being on the tires, and not have to have all that weight in the trunk. And then we want just a little bit of shock. I'm pretty sure I said all this. A little bit of shock so it's taken out, and then the variable rate spring is so that way it can anti-squat and not come apart. I mean, we only want a couple inches anyways for it to just keep driving the tires into the ground. It doesn't have to travel a ton. So, yeah, exhaust back on there. Not too bad. Not too bad, y'all. Alright, I'll get that shit cleaned up, and I'll be able to get the rotors and calipers back on, get the wheels on it, and see if everything clears, and then set the height, nut that up. First time setting it down, y'all. The 295 tire on there. I'm not done with the frame rails yet. I gotta move the rear end to the left a little bit. The car, the lips were trimmed before, so the car is separated from the inner tub, outer tub. This side doesn't move, but as you can see, if you look like that, the lip is still pretty straight, right? But the tire, if you look at the wheel, I know I'm saying stuff that other people ain't gonna notice, but you can see how, watch this out. See the bubble in the fucking quarter lip, and then it makes it look like the wheel is, there it goes, tripping over stuff backwards, but it looks like the wheel is way under. I need to split the difference, so I'll bring the rear end over this way, maybe a 1/4 inch, and then this is the very first time setting it down with the 295 tires. It clears all that. I'm not gonna have it sitting this low because I want the anti-squat to work. And if the car is lower in the back, you want it to be able to pick up. So if it's lower and the car lifts in the front, it's keeping that same planted. So that's why I'm gonna limit the travel in the front. We're putting the bump stops back in it. and then more travel in the back. So checking shock stroke right now, it has a good amount. Let's see if I can get you up in there. It has a good amount of shock stroke. So I can go ahead and just go up higher with the aluminum block on the bottom, and then I can get a little more, I can go a little less shock stroke, so that way we have all that extension. And the spring will be able to help push it up. But yeah, I started cleaning up the back frame notch just in these corners. The car, he's gonna have it painted again, but anyways, it got pretty dirty. The front, this side, like I said, I gotta switch the shaft around right there to where it pushed the top of this tire out a little more. Trim the top. See how it was hitting the fender and it chewed up these tires. And then limiter, like I said, you look at the top of the arm right here. This one's not bent too much, but I'm gonna put the G-body stop is the short rubber stop that bolts in here. I'm gonna put the box Chevy, the B-body one, in here because it's longer, and that way it'll stop, it'll limit the front suspension, so it won't come up that high, stretch out. So you can see this one. Front shocks are all the way up on rebound, so it slows the front end down coming up. But I'm gonna put a little more compression in it because I think the compression's only at like 4. I don't know, I probably said it earlier in this video. But a lot of days in between each filming with everything I got going on. Waited for the other bag of lead for days. I don't know what it is with Amazon. Why is there so many dumb employees or so many places that allow dumb shit to just keep happening over and over and over? It's like, do you not pay your people enough, or are you just hiring dumbasses? Like 25 pounds to 50 pounds is a big difference. So the first box came with one bag in it of 25 pounds of bag. Then I just got the one, it took a week and a half to get the other bag, and we paid the $60 in shipping to have it basically next day, so 3 days, whatever the hell, but ended up having to wait. So now somebody needs to reimburse for that shit. But like ordering the cutoff wheels, you order a box of 25 count, and then they send you 2 blades in the box separately, and then they charge you the fucking $300 and something, whatever the fuck it is, you know? Just dumb shit. But anyways, had to wait for the lead. I got the bar up, the weight bar on the rear end is 43.8 pounds. I should have made the bar a little bit wider on both sides, but that was the first time that I made a weight bar. But I filled the back brace of the rear end, and I filled my under brace with the lead. So there's a good 110 pounds, I want to say, or let's say 100, okay? Let's say there's 100 pounds more on that drive axle. On the whole rear end, 100 pounds more. The wider tire, the good tread, the suspension is actually going to work now. We had 2 bags of 70 70-pound bags of sand in the trunk, so that was, pushing the ass end down, but that was weight on the car, which really wasn't helping that tires to the ground. It was helping overall, but then it was killing the anti-squat, which this car was never set up for before. And with that power, getting it to the ground, that's the biggest thing. You guys can have 700 horse, I'd be running pretty good, and then somebody wants to go more horsepower, but you're not hooking. You go more horsepower, now you're definitely not hooking. So you gotta get the ass end to work. Gotta get the front end to work too. A lot of people out there that are dumb as shit. They got coilovers in the back. They need to put coilovers in the front, but then they don't, and they wonder why they can't get their car to go no faster, and they got to take so much power out of it in the beginning to the whatever mark, and then they like ramp it all in at once, and then that's why you see cars get out there past a 60 foot, get about 100 foot, and then blow the tires off because they ramp the power back in too much, and because your back suspension is not working, or your back and your front suspension is not working together. Everything has to work together. Limit the front. Yes, I know people are like, oh, put more travel in the front. Well, you can't get more travel out of a stock suspension setup car. Strut cars, stuff like that, Mustangs, blah, blah, race cars, when you see the front end stretch up and the tire stays planted, yeah. That's the new cheat code for the last few years. But anti-squat, and getting these cars with the big rims to anti-squat, you don't want your tire at 40 pounds. You don't want your car tucking in the back. If you have the front low and the back low, and you have the car light, you can get away with a little bit of tuck and have it anti-squat. But you want the ass end to separate. You don't want the front to overpower the back and push the back down. You want the front to basically stay and let the back extend. So hopefully it'll work. Car's got a lot of fucking power though. A lot of power. And they're still gonna detune it for launch, but that's all going to the track and testing it. All right, y'all. Again, I'm not trying to make these videos too long, but trying to help anybody and everybody, and I'm also trying to learn. So comment, you know, what you think, this and that, whatever, and I'll figure it out. But I'm gonna get back to it. And here we go. Here we go. All right. I know I'll be talking about not using undercoating. So I went through, recut the back, ground it, cut it, welded it, boom, to look a lot better than what it did. And once again, I did this notch 6 years ago. So I cleaned it up way better than what it was. It looks way better. It still could have used some more grinding through there because the weld's pretty thick, but the time it would take, it would be just easier just to redo them with some plates. But it looks 100% better. So I bought this cheap ass, I don't know if I already said it, but this was from Home Depot. And I thought it was gonna be pretty good paint. I mean, it's $7 a can. And it sprayed good, this and that, and it kind of stunk. But it never dried. So I did it on the weight bar first. When the weight bar was over there on the ground, didn't dry for shit. So I had put that on the frame rail, and it turned out way worse. So went ahead and got some rubberized undercoated over that, undercoated the wheel well to take care of that. Of course, taped off the coilovers, but everything's bolted on. I wanted more weight on here, so I used 2 of the 9/16 nuts and then 3 washers. It's pressed on there good. Again, this is full of lead. The back brace is full of lead. Where I drilled the holes, I went and took a 3/4 bolt, put in there, and then welded it around to close up the holes on both sides. This bar back here, this bottom brace is full of lead. So I got about 100 pounds on the axle now. This wheel well and notch. So I cleaned it up. This one I had way different back here, which you can see this little plate. I don't know if this one originally was rotted, but again, the way I do it now compared to the way I did it then, big difference. And obviously this side you can see there's a way big difference. I don't have to show you guys that, but I do. I show everything, tell everything. I'm not holding back. I'm not blah, 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 whatever. So they had the rotors on backwards. Again, I did not do the 9-inch in this car. I did not do the brakes on this car. It's got the big brakes in the front. I don't know who did that. I did not do the anti-roll. Not saying anything's wrong. Obviously, you guys know me. I wouldn't put the caliper to the front on G bodies and show you that. The caliper would have been back here. But I noticed the rotors were on backwards. Because see the arrow points forward. See the cuts in there? They pull the air in, not push the air away. It's this fuel line, but the tire's totally clear. I already had the tires on there, of course. Had the car on the ground, boom. But everything is tight. I was debating on, I'm on the 6th hole right here, and I was debating on changing this to the 5th hole, but I do have the shocks set at 8 on compression, 10 on rebound, or 8 on compression, 10 on rebound, yeah. So that way the ass end of the car comes slow. So that should work. once we see a nice little launch in the driveway, nothing crazy, just a nice little launch in the driveway, and see how the ass end reacts. I do have the limiters in the front now. See the rubber stop is in there. So that limiter at the front, so the front won't go up as far. So right now I gotta trim these pieces out of here so it don't cut the tires up in the morning doing alignment. So I'm gonna bolt the back wheels on. And car, get the tape off there, boom, bolt the back wheels on. I did move the rear end over that little bit. And what I noticed with this car, all the Malibus, look at the frame rail to the body, all right? Not that much of a gap. We come over this side and look at the gap. So the body is to the left. Most of the Malibus that I've done, that's what happened. The body is to the left. So then it made this wheel look like it's farther under than the right wheel. Then I trimmed the inner. It was sticking out a little bit. It's still separated just a little bit. The inner tub and the quarter, outer tub, whatever you want to call it. But I trimmed it all. But now, because we got that 295 tire, it all clears. And the car is just a little bit higher than it was originally, which is fine because, like I said, I want the anti-squat to work. All right, let me get these back wheels back on and get this tape off here. Get it set down on my alignment plates, and I'm gonna go over the front end because he did say that it pulled. And I do remember now when I had this car 6 years ago, it had a 383 small block Chevy in it, and the cam was wiped out. So the car ran like complete shit. And I don't think I ever took this car up and down the street or anything. But he had put another LS in it. This one's fresh. It's a fresh R&D setup that's in it. So it's got to go back to R&D for them to put it back on the dyno and all that stuff, now that everything is situated in the back and the frame bracing and all that, so that way they can tune it a little more. But yeah, all right, I'm gonna set it down.
Better stay out that Malibu lane, man. Better find your own lane to go in. Hey, you heard what Tim said? That's a bad motherfucker, man.